Yellowstone Season 5 Episode 12 sees the characters lingering after the death of Sarah Atwood, plotting their next steps, and being thrown for a loop when another person dies on the ranch. This comes after the conclusion of Episode 11, which completely changed the game. Taylor Sheridan is the creator of the neo-Western drama television show that airs on the Paramount Network. The story follows the complicated lives of the Doughton family. The Doughton family goes through a lot of hardship in the final stretch of episodes of Yellowstone, and they are frantically trying to figure out how to rescue everything that they have produced. Regrettably, they did not come any closer to each other in the 12th episode named Counting Coup. The 11th episode of Yellowstone's 5th season concluded with Sarah's passing. Immediately following an intense altercation with Jamie that escalated into a violent altercation, Sarah rushed out of his house and drove away. Additionally, when she approached a stoplight, she noticed that another vehicle had stopped next to her, which drew her attention. In order to kill Sarah, they first pretended to ask her for directions, then they verified her identity, and last they shot her. The identity of the person who was responsible for Sarah's killing is unknown, however. The episode 12 of Yellowstone Season 5 hints that the individuals she paid to kill John Doughton are the same individuals who were responsible for her death. It is unfortunate for the assassins that killing Sarah does not provide a solution to their situations. The opening of the 12th episode of the 5th season demonstrates how lovely the relationship between Teeter and Colby is. They are consistently ranked as one of the best couples in Yellowstone. During the time that Teeter is away with a few of the other ranch hands relocating the livestock from the Yellowstone Doughton Ranch, Colby is back in Montana, and it is obvious that they miss each other. Teeter does some introspection about the time gap that exists between her and Colby, as well as the fact that it takes her voice an hour to reach him. She is informed by Colby that the remark in question is illogical. However, due to the fact that he loves her so much, he will not reveal to anyone that she said it. After letting his first "I love you" to Teeter fall out of his tongue by accident, Colby instantly grimaces in an attempt to hide his disappointment. It is his attempt to go back on his word, but Teeter does not let it. Next, she tells Colby that she loves him as well, which brings the call to a close. Due to the unfortunate circumstances, this tender moment between Colby and Teeter is one of the few cheerful moments that can be seen in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12. In light of the shocking conclusion that was presented in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11, it is only a matter of time until Sarah's passing is discussed in Episode 12, which is titled Counting Coup. At the scene of the incident, the police drew the conclusion that Sarah was killed as a result of an unsuccessful attempt to carjack her. On the other hand, the detectives who approached Jamie at his residence in Episode 12 are of the opposite opinion. They disclose that because there was no effort to enter Sarah's car door, her windows were down, and her purse was in her lap, it is more likely that Sarah was specifically targeted rather than the random victim of a carjacking. This is because Sarah's purse was in her lap. Regarding Jamie's relationship with Sarah, the two law enforcement authorities inquire as to whether or not it was solely a personal one, or whether it also included a professional component. When the investigators want to look at Sarah's possessions, Jamie begins to lose his cool, despite the fact that he maintains that it was anything more than a personal matter. The audience is aware that Jamie was working with Sarah to bring down his father, who tragically passed away in the 9th episode of Yellowstone Season 5. Jamie refuses to let the police look at Sarah's belongings, and the audience rapidly discovers the reason for this refusal. At the beginning of Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12, Jamie goes into full lawyer gear and informs the detectives that they require a warrant in order to collect Sarah's belongings. This occurs after Jamie learns that the detectives want to seize Sarah's belongings. As far as Jamie is concerned, they are treating him as if he were a suspect. Dillard, one of the investigators who is also working on the case of John Doughton in Yellowstone, reveals to Jamie that he did not consider him to be a suspect during the investigation. Nevertheless, Dillard is currently investigating Jamie's reaction. Immediately following the departure of the two investigators, Jamie makes a beeline for the sleeping quarters where Sarah was residing. In the process of searching through her suitcase, he discovers the documents that he was seeking for. There is a lack of clarity on the contents of the documents, however, it is quite probable that they implicate both Jamie and Sarah in their efforts to bring the Doughton family in Yellowstone to ruin. Due to the fact that Jamie is not seen for the remainder of the show, it is not known what actions he will take when Sarah becomes deceased. In moments of extreme need, the characters from Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 are forced to resort to extreme means. Rip Wheeler begins selling and auctioning off the Yellowstone Doughton Ranch's livestock in the episode Counting Coup. The Doughtons are aware that they are going to lose some of their ranch, if not all of it, and as a result they begin dealing with the situation. Rip is questioned by Lloyd Pierce, who has recently learned about the ranch's future intentions, about whether or not the ranch is currently out of business. Rip corrects him by stating that they are operating with the intention of preserving the company. Rather than losing their farm, Rip would rather to lose their livestock, and they are in desperate need of money as soon as possible. It is therefore necessary to sell cows, bulls, horses, and other animals in order to maintain the ranch in the hands of the Doughton family and to ensure its continued existence. The only thing that can tell us whether or not this strategy is unsuccessful or whether or not it will be sufficient to allow the Doughton family to keep possession of the Yellowstone Doughton Ranch in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 is time. During the 12th episode of Yellowstone Season 5, Rip calls Travis Wheatley, who is training Jimmy Herdstrom how to become a horse trainer. Wheatley is being portrayed by Yellowstone series creator Taylor Sheridan. Rip's goal is to sell and auction off the Yellowstone's animals. Following the delivery of the news that John Doughton had passed away, Rip requests that Travis relocate a few of the Yellowstone horses that they are holding down in Texas. Travis gives his assent, and then he inquires of Rip whether he would be willing to hand over the phone to Jimmy so that Jimmy can convey the devastating news to him. It's a shame that Rip doesn't have the fortitude to accomplish that. Jimmy is taken aside by Travis after he has finished hanging up the phone. Jimmy initially believes that Travis is going to fire him, but the news that he hears is much more devastating. When Jimmy finds out that John has passed away, he is completely and utterly stunned and heartbroken. Jimmy receives the news from Travis that he will be taking the week off, but he quickly forgets about it and goes back to work. Jimmy is of the opinion that John would not want him to be absent from work. Consequently, Jimmy goes back on his horse in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12, despite the fact that it is clear that the news has disturbed him to that degree. When it comes to Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12, the sweet moment that occurs between Colby and Teeter at the beginning of the episode appears to serve no purpose other than to set up Colby's death later in the hour. During the time when Carter is filling up water buckets in the stable, he stumbles across a horse that is both wild and aggressive. Carter discovers that the water bucket that is located inside the stable is empty, despite the fact that he was earlier instructed not to enter the stable. After entering the stable with caution, the small boy is able to safely fetch the bucket and then fill it with water until it is full. When Carter tries to put the bucket back in its place, however, he does not have so good luck. During the 12th episode of Yellowstone's 5th season, the horse attacks Carter, positioning him in a precarious position. Colby rushes to Carter's aid and distracts the horse, which enables the character played by Finn Little to find a way out of the situation. Colby is the target of the horse's attention, and it stomps on him, resulting in the instantaneous death of the ranch hand. Carter shoots the horse to death with a shotgun, making the others aware of the situation nonetheless. There is nothing that can be done to save Colby. Ryan receives a phone call from Rip informing him about the passing of Colby. After that, Ryan is tasked with the difficult task of informing Teeter that her partner has passed away. Unfortunately, the death of Colby raises the total number of bodies in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 to 3. Towards the end of the hour in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12, there is a character named Kayce who is involved in one of the most disturbing scenes. Towards the beginning of the episode, Kayce reveals to Dillard the truth about the nature of the relationship that exists between Jamie and Sarah. When Dillard reminds Kayce that his brother is in the blast radius of this entire issue, Kayce thinks on the fact that Jamie put himself in that position, which is an indication that he no longer cares about Jamie's well-being. After that, Kayce makes a phone call to Cade, an old buddy of his from the military. Cade gives Kayce the information that Grant Horton is the professional assassin who Sarah hired to assassinate John.